Now 7:18, VB down at the Beacon Hill studio, and he's got something heavy for us.
I do, Kim Kerrigan. In fact, we are outside of our Beacon Hill studio. Peter Cadges of the Boston Phoenix, Cosmo Macero Jr. Associates, the only two guys that are happy about the rain, because that means we're inside the filibuster, right next to our Beacon Hill studio.
Always good to see Mario and Vios and the boys.
And James, don't forget James. And Peter, I saw you placing an order already.
Enough said.
We love the filibuster because this is where Diane Wilkerson allegedly stuffed the bra. We always like to point that out. You're welcome, James. Healthcare gentleman, Peter.
Is there going to be a plaque?
There should be. Let's put it that way. You're going to get your wish next week.
This is the honorary table, I believe.
I think it was right over there, actually.
My mistake.
We may not be talking healthcare next week, so you'll be happy to hear that.
What a shame.
We're going to be talking about it today. Start with you, Cosmo. Barack Obama going to sign this thing sometime after 11 this morning. First question, is this good for America or is this bad for America?
I think it's a net negative. I think overall it's bad. I've tried to be objective, but in a subjective way. I looked at the bill and I scored some key elements of it. And there's positives and negatives. In the plus column, access. 94% of Americans will be covered by 2020. It's a good thing. Pre-existing conditions. You can't. No more being denied on that in other parts of the country. A good thing. The Medicare prescription donut hole, that little gap where seniors don't get all their drugs covered at certain levels, that gets covered. Also a good thing. But overall cost, $1 trillion. It's
going to save us $1 trillion.
Well, that's we'll get to that. A dramatic expansion of Medicaid, where individuals with incomes up to $44,000 will qualify for some kind of a subsidy. That's a budget buster. Medicare cuts. Hey, thanks for that. Medicare Advantage, there's going to be cuts to that kind of plan. Also in the plus column, switching over for a second, they're going to experiment with global payments, a different way to pay. That's a good thing. There's just not enough. There's not enough cost control in this bill, and that's really what it's all about. How about new taxes? Payroll and investment taxes, a tax on drug companies, not a good thing, not good for the economy. So I really think that overall, it's a net negative. I get a kick out of the fact that now kids up to age 26 are going to be able to stay on their parents' insurance, as if blogging, Facebook, and PlayStation 2 aren't enough to make 20-somethings not
keep them living at home.
To keep them living at home. And then lastly, to your point, the CBO says, oh, this is going to reduce the deficit by $1 trillion. Really? You know what? I say this. Prove it. Let's see it reduce the deficit. I don't think so.
So the follow-up question, Peter, is, and hopefully the answer is a little shorter. No offense, Cosmo. You did your homework. I like to see that. Is this good or bad for Massachusetts?
This is good for Massachusetts.
How so?
We may be the only state in the union where you can say that unequivocally. Massachusetts already has Romney Care. Romney Care, let's not forget, is the model for Obamacare. We already have many of these provisions in the state. The federal legislation is written in a way so that it rewards states like Massachusetts, and we'll have well over $350 billion coming into the state as a result of this.
Do you believe that we're making money on this deal?
Well, he's right. It's because the Cornhusker kickback has been expanded to all 50 states. I get a kick out of people call it Romney Care when it's not working so well, but it's DeMacy Care when everyone is celebrating in Massachusetts. No offense. I'm just saying that's sort of the typical liberal stance.
Let's talk about the conservative stance on this, Peter. I got to move because Ron Kaufman quoted in the paper today saying, hey, healthcare fight, this thing is not over. John McCain saying he's going to fight this to the last breath. Where was he the last 3 months? Is this fight over or not?
No, the fight is changing. Listen, the adoption of this health care plan ushers in a new phase in American political history. Health care is here to stay. The debate will now be in what form. That's number one. Here's what's going to happen. The state's attorney generals, maybe as many as 13 states, probably led by Virginia, are going to try to challenge the constitutionality of this.
Does that have any chance?
Well, before the knuckleheads on the Supreme Court ruled that corporations could give as much money as they wanted, I would have said no. We don't know. Here's the trick. the provisions don't go into effect until 2014. It's unclear whether they can sue to stop this until years from now. Here's the big thing to look for. Look for, if the Republicans take back the House of Representatives, and let's say there's a 50-50 shot at that, look for them to try to defund the aspects of this. There's no chance of overturning this in the Senate, because even if the Republicans won control of the Senate again, they will not have enough votes, 67, to override President Obama's veto. It's not going away, but we're going to be fighting about it for years to come.
Well, the key question that he touched on is the new slogan already we're hearing, Cosmo, remember in November. Yeah. Will people remember in November, and will there be a price to be paid for this?
I think this is going to be a real test of how long of a memory, or how deep of a memory the American voters have.
And what's the history on that? Not very long.
Not very long. I do think things are different here. I think people across the country have been so motivated against this bill and are so angry that there is a chance, as I've heard Republicans saying over the past few days, that Nancy Pelosi will soon be the minority leader. So I think that's possible. I think this campaign for repeal is really a sustained way of making them remember in November.
Quickly, Peter, Mitt Romney says that this could cost Barack Obama a second term. Leave the politics of it aside. Will Obama ever pay a price for this?
I'm not sure. I actually think his numbers are going to climb now. I think this strengthens Obama's hand, and it weakens Romney's.
And yet, Congress, we have 11% approval rating for Nancy Pelosi here, Cosmo.
Yeah, but she's only elected from San Francisco. Listen, Cosmo started. We live in the United States of amnesia. People are going to forget about this. And what's coming up, too, there's going to be immigration reform, and there's going to be global warming. In the heat, in the hot air that's generated by those two debates, which I think will be even nastier than the health care debate, I think a lot of this health care is going to be forgotten.
The bad news is the planet has a fever. The worst news is it's not covered under Obamacare, Cosmo. Cosmo Macero Jr. Associates, Peter Cadges of the Boston Phoenix. They are the heavy hitters. They're going to have a filibuster breakfast, and you will not get to watch that, unfortunately.